All right, there's one thing that we need to keep in mind when we're talking about like the Epstein list and the flight logs and all that other stuff, and who was at this guy's parties and with Diddy. This Diddy's the new one that brought this up, but I want to focus on one little section of this topic. Diddy had parties with thousands of people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people every other week, if not on a weekly basis, but not on a nightly basis. I mean, this guy was famous for it. So there's going to be a lot of pictures, a lot of everything, even to Donald Trump. I'd love to believe there's all this nefarious shit with DJT. And he's got his own stuff that shows who he is. But there's other reasons to be at a Diddy party besides that. So not everyone who spent time with at Diddy parties did the diddly do like he did. Jeffrey Epstein had legitimate fundraisers. His facade was a philanthropist, so he had legitimate people on his plane. He just didn't have the girls in certain flights. So the Lolita Express wasn't always Lolitas. So looking at it realistically, it's not fair to go after people who show up on Epstein's flight log once or twice, or people who were at a couple of Diddy's parties in the past, because they had so many of them and so many non-freak-off parties. I'm sure sections of the house were, all right, you go upstairs to the right, you know how that goes. But that would leave a lot of people on the other side of the parties kind of oblivious to what's going on. So I'm not one to believe everyone on Diddy's party list had something to do with the nefarious bullshit that he's been caught doing. Same with Epstein. So many people were on Epstein's island for legitimate fundraisers that weren't with 10, 12-year-old boys and girls. I mean, it's an unfair assumption, and it actually ruins careers. And that's the problem with where we've fallen to in this society, is someone's at one point affiliated with someone else who turns out to be a total evil prick. It's like Harvey Weinstein. People like flipped out, he's the piece of shit, him, that person. But he made a lot of good movies. He was responsible for hundreds of billions of dollars over his career at his profession. That the movies get hurt because he's the asshole. There was a discrepancy in the with Sandra Bullock, and because there was some false representation on the script about who this woman was, and The Blind Side, that they punished Sandra Bullock, and we're talking about taking her Oscar. It has nothing to do with fucking Sandra Bullock. It has to do with those people. Harvey Weinstein is a piece of shit, but there's a lot of really, really good movies he was blessed enough to be a part of. Separate them. Phil Spector, same thing. He's a piece of shit, but separate it. I don't care that Donald Trump cheated on his wives. People know who Donald Trump is. If someone's going to marry Donald Trump, they should expect to be cheated on. Just ask Laura Loomer. That's what I'm saying. There's a perception, because of one connection, two connections, something that looks bad. The automatic knee-jerk reaction is to turn around and go, this person was in on child sex trafficking? Well, no. That doesn't mean that Tom Hanks and, Chris Tucker are in on, this. It doesn't mean that everyone who went to a Diddy party did what Diddy was. Did what Diddy do. Doesn't mean that. We forget that sometimes because of the sensationalism of it. And we apply that forgiveness to people like Donald Trump because there's a political aspect of it, or to someone who's the same color skin as you because there's a racial aspect to it, rather than looking at it for what it is and recognizing that there's a lot of reasons why people would be at a Diddy party. There's a lot of reasons why people would go to a fundraiser for children. There's a lot of reasons why people show up on flight logs once or twice here and there. So I do agree with one statement Trump said when he was asked about, opening up the JFK investigation, and then they asked him about the Epstein files, and he said, well, maybe not that one because that could hurt a lot of people. I agree with that. It could hurt a lot of people. Some people deserve the hurt. There's a difference. Donald Trump, for sure, knew. There's plenty of evidence. He was involved. There's tons of evidence. He is Doe 174 in the Epstein court documents. His name, his phone messages, pictures are in that case. He was not prosecuted from a deal he worked out with the prosecutor. That's a fact, too. The bottom line is not everyone involved in the parties are evil. Not everyone involved in taking a trip to a fundraiser at an island is complicit. We need to let that sink in. This world is messed up enough. There are plenty of really, really, really messed up people, but we are jumping very, very quickly to the worst case assumption that anyone could possibly have as our first thought. And we can't be that stupid. We can't be that ignorant. Because if you look at certain people at certain times in their lives, heroes can be villains and villains can be heroes. It's what people do without anybody looking that actually is their true spirit. Donald Trump has proven himself to be a certain type of human being. There is more than enough evidence to show that he has a problem with children in the past and not the type of guy I would align myself with, and not the type of person I would hope anyone I love aligns themselves with. Again, separate from the politics as a person. We need to start looking at these people as people and what they do for actually what it is. Our hatred of Tom Hanks and he showed up on a flight log doesn't mean he was diddling little kids with Jeff Epstein and Donald J. Trump. There's a difference. You cannot like somebody by not liking somebody. You don't have to go to that next level. And if you feel the need to, look very honestly in the mirror and ask yourself, who were you at your worst? And what if that was the representation everyone you met had of you? Is that fair? Is that fact? That's the lesson. Now use it and evolve your perspective more honestly.